4, 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Let's get this game rolling. The brown Protoss is occupied and played and controlled by Gomojji, who's on the middle right of the map, and he's up against Chamkyoyook on the bottom right corner, who's playing the red Zerg, piloting that Overlord all the way up to exactly where Gomojji is located. Let's hide the interface just a little bit and get everything started. So a little bit of background information. Gomojji is pretty much a Protoss player. He plays Protoss most of the time, or so I have heard. He goes by the name Ryan Teacher and SH as his alternative names. And that is about as much information I have. I don't have much more information on the guy. I just know that he's like in the 200 to 250 APM range. And he is pretty damn good. I honestly think this guy, if he were to play Starcraft World, he'd pretty much be one of the top players in there. And that's purely because he has a similar playstyle, very macro-centric, but still very smart. If I had to compare him to a player specifically, I'd compare him to probably Kokanee. But maybe Kokanee will hate me for saying that if he watches this game and the end result winds up being not too much in the favor of Gomojji. And Chamkyoyook is, if I remember correctly, most likely Hamburger Sasu, aka Duck Random. He plays on his name from time to time. Chamkyoyook is Korean for the true teachings or the true teacher. So this guy is pretty confident in his own play if he gives himself a name like that. That his play is the true teaching of the Lord of Starcraft, and everyone should follow and take example of what he does and why he does it and how he does it. Right, so the probes found each other. He starts off with 3 gateways, and there's already probes have been pulled off the minerals, ready to engage in a fight with Chamkyoyook. Chamkyoyook sending out a couple of drones, ready to make those sunkens once he can. But these probes are blocking his drones from getting those creep colonies down. So he's going to have to pull over some Zerglings. Already 3 Zerglings, aka 6 Zerglings, are on the way. A single creep colony managed to get itself down. It's being attacked by a single Zealot now. 3 more Zealots are streaming in from the base of Gomojji. Chamkyoyook will have to cancel this Sunken here. It will go down if he doesn't cancel it. Now Zerglings are coming in. A probe went down. Sunken gets cancelled. 2 more Sunkens are on the way. The Sunken down here is halfway finished, but Gomojji is going to be able to attack it. More Zerglings are streaming in. All the probes have been sniped out. Gomojji forsakes attacking the choke there, and instead decides to go for the minerals. And he does have a lot of Zealots right there within the vicinity, but more Zerglings are spawning. Even more Zerglings are on the way. Gomojji lost the pylon, so now he's side stuck, and that actually comes out in favor of Chamkyoyook, because now there will be no more units streaming in. There's a small oversight of Gomojji where he forgot to make that pylon, keeping in mind that he would lose the pylon over there. So he got supply stock, and this gives Chamkyoyook the opportunity to counterattack, although he's only on 6 drones, so his economy is in a really, really bad spot. And Gomojji is currently making 2 cannons. The Zealots are positioned in such a way that the Zerglings will not be able to attack those cannons. That's really smart positioning from Gomojji. Also protecting his probes by putting Zealots right next to the probes. So he just goes for the gateways, and his gateways are completely unprotected up until these 2 cannons finish. This gateway will go down. The second gateway is not going to go down. Or is he going to sacrifice Zerglings to take it down? He sacrifices Zerglings to take it down. Gateway goes down. There's only 1 gateway left for Gomojji. Gomojji is now stuck having a huge overmine. He might as well throw down a couple of Nexi right now, right here, and aim to recover. There is a Nexus, so he is thinking along the same lines of what I'm thinking. Considering he can't spend those minerals anyway on anything useful, might as well take that, throw down a Nexus and go for a little bit of a late recovery instead of immediately trying to go for mass gateways and then being unable to do anything anyway. Because Gomojji got slowed down quite a lot, although he's now already on 19 drones. He's been making drones this entire time after he attacked Gomojji. So he's got his priorities straight, but he's going to lose his Overlord to the Dragoon. But that's, again, a great little adaptation, a great little counterpunch from Gomojji. Not losing those gateways go unpunished immediately makes the Dragoon. Dragoon can now go and scout for those Overlords and kill some Overlords. And maybe even scout this Zergling over there. The Zergling there is hidden. It's outside of the sight range of Gomojji. So he'll be able to get himself some information without risking losing an Overlord for that information. That's a pretty smart keeping that Zergling out there on the top side. Now he's scouting, getting information on how many gateways there are. So he can decide whether to add more Sunkens or just keep it on 3 Sunkens and a 26 HP Sunken. That's a Sunken that was supposed to go down that got cancelled. But it had enough HP left, so we just made it into a new Sunken. Completely worth it. It might get a couple of shots off, and it only cost him 50 minerals to pull it down. So he's already throwing down a lot of hatcheries, aiming to ramp up his economy really, really quickly so he can keep up or get an advantage over Gomojji. Because Gomojji did get slowed down a little bit, although his tech did not get slowed down. His tech got up pretty much at the expected speed as it should have, albeit at maybe a 30 or 40 second delay, because he got attacked and had to invest minerals elsewhere. But his gas was pretty much uninterrupted. It's just the units that he has from his production is at a point where he should have been like a minute and a half ago. Maybe, yeah, a minute and a half ago. Well, this gives Chamkyoyook some slack in what he's able to do. Chamkyoyook goes in, takes down the probe, manages to take down the cannon as well, slows down Gomojji's plan just a little bit. Hydralisks are already being produced, 10 Hydralisks in total. He's going for Hydralisk speed, which is the best option when you're trying to defend against drops, because you want your Hydralisk to be very mobile. If a drop flies in here, you've got your Hydralisk over there, and you have a range but don't have Hydralisk speed. The shuttle will fly in all the way before your Hydralisk can even cover this distance. So that's why you go for lags instead of range, and then you get range after lags finish. Reaver's on the way for Gomojji. He already had 2 loaded up. Those 2 are now attacking the front. But Chamkyoyook has prepared an answer, or so I hope. I hope he pulls this off, because he's got a bunch of Hydralisks. The Hydralisks are now attacking. They're focusing on the Reaver. There's no shuttle to pick up the Reaver, so the Reaver goes down. Hydralisks pull back. Reaver is blocked out all the way in the back behind those Zealots. Protected, but also blocked out. Chamkyoyook now goes for the cannon, kills the cannon once again, pulls back those Hydralisks back towards the safety of the Sunkens, goes back in. It's really, really, really tense fight. He goes back, gets them Hydralisks to safety. The Scarab not killing that many Hydralisks at all. And once again, a Scarab duds. It doesn't even kill. Even though the Scarab landed exactly on top of the Hydralisk, it duds and doesn't kill anything at all. Now he gets access to that Reaver. He will take down the Reaver. Reaver is a very low HP. Reaver survives, and it dies. Now Chamkyoyook has more Hydralisks than Gomojji has units out there. The cannon did finish though, but the cannon will not pose much of an obstacle for Chamkyoyook to overcome. It's firing slowly, taking out a couple of Hydralisks, but the Zealots that were blocking the Hydralisks are now going down. Now he has free fire on those cannons. Cannons going down, and he has broken free already. That's very early on into the game. It did cost him a little bit of his economy, because he's only on 27 drones 8.5 minutes into the game, and he will not be able to break into this because there's 3 Reavers there. Those Reavers are definitely stronger than that group of Hydralisks. So Chamkyoyook decides to pull back and spreads out his Hydralisks all over the middle. So he's still planning on going aggressive, despite facing 3 Reavers. 3 Reavers, if they get some good shots off, they can kill all those Hydralisks. But instead, Chamkyoyook gets a great round up on those Reavers, and all of the Reavers go down, but almost all of the Hydralisks also went down to mostly the Zealots hammering away, while also being bombarded by the Scarabs from those Reavers. He does take down a Reaver and a shuttle, so he does delay the drop timing from Gomojji even more. And he pulls back, and he even goes for a little bit of a rest. He's on 460 APM right now. That's absolutely insane multitasking and clicking speed. Like, look at his minerals he's spending so quickly. I'm honestly quite amazed by this level of multitasking. It's so fast. And the micro was so crisp and clean. You don't often see that on a fastest map, but this just shows that there are some players on fastest maps who are absolutely mental with how well and how good their micro and macro is, and their target prioritization, and most of all their game sense. Like, a lot of players would have been scared away from those 3 Reavers, but he just goes for it knowing that he can micro. Maybe he just gambled on it. But he was prepared to lose those Hydralisks in order to take down those Reavers, and he did take down those Reavers and even more. So Gomojji has been slowed down significantly. He's got a bit of overmind because he's been forced to focus on fighting instead of pulling off his game plan time and time again. Which again buys Chamkyoyook a lot of time to more or less build up, although you can't really build up all that much when you're producing Hydralisks and fighting and attacking. I just swallowed a fly, I think, or something. Yeah, that's really bad. Jesus Christ. Alright. So let me grab some water. Alright. Wow. Alright, it's just feeling a bit better. I just felt something in my throat, and all of a sudden I couldn't speak anymore. Alright, it's back. It's all back. It's all fixed. Alright, he's on 59 drones now. He's ahead of Gomojji. Gomojji hasn't been able to throw any effective punches into Chamkyoyook's defense, and hasn't broken in at all whatsoever, and it's already 11 minutes into the game. No drops have landed. No harass has happened other than the very early attack that he threw out on Chamkyoyook. But Chamkyoyook has been holding up way better than I expected him to. Gomojji is, however, formulating the right answers and the right moves. But Chamkyoyook has been answering really, really well. Gomojji now trying to kill some of these overlords or force them away. So he has this huge area of vision denied for Chamkyoyook. So Chamkyoyook will not be able to see shuttles flying in from this area. And just likewise, he cannot see shuttles flying in from this area. Which is in the advantage of Gomojji because it gives Chamkyoyook less reaction time to those drops. It's a really smart move. You should always do that. Always clear out vision. Always clear out those overlords on the sides. And limit the amount of information the Zerg player has, because it increases your chances of landing those crucial drops that might just be game changing. A hive is on the way. Spire is also being thrown down and morphed up. More drones being added onto the minerals. So he's still only on 3 gas. He might want to add more gas, considering he's capable of doing it. But instead he decides to go for the lurker mass around his main first. So anything that is dropped within this range around his main will immediately die to those lurkers attacking it. And that's just in time because a drop is about to fly in. Because Gomojji cleared out this little area here around on the bottom side of the map to fly that drop in instead of going from here, which is more or less the expected angle, because it's very closest to where the shuttles spawn. So you always try to go for an angle that is a little bit less expected, though in this situation it's kind of choreographed, because he cleared out the vision here, so it's kind of telling that, alright, the drop is going to come from that side. The front is very slowly being pushed in. Gomojji is just 10 psi away from hitting 200 psi, and he has prepared himself really well for the frontal attack. He's already on 2 weapon upgrades. No shield, no armor, but shield upgrade and armor are on the way. Shield is very close to finishing. Whereas Chamkyoyook also has 1-1. And he's got 2-2 on the way. Zergling speed on the way. Zergling... pretty much all the upgrades that you can imagine are on the way for Chamkyoyook and Gomojji. The most important one for Gomojji is Scarab damage. It's an upgrade that's often overlooked, in my opinion. But it really is a game changer on fastest map, because you can just kill way more units way faster. And take down Sunkens way faster as well. Look at the HP that Sunken loses in one shot. Just takes 3 Scarabs, I think, for a Sunken to go down, whereas otherwise it would take 4 of them. Drop is still hanging there. He hasn't flown it in yet. He's really taking his time, taking it slow, giving Chamkyoyook all the time he needs to get to the 200 supply mark, which is 15 shy of. So that's a really good... This game is looking really good for Chamkyoyook. Gomojji is already preparing himself with mass cannons pretty much about everywhere. Robotic facilities here at the front, so his reavers have less traveling time, so he doesn't have to lift them over with a shuttle. Cannons here on the side can fire over the hill. It's going to make it very hard for Chamkyoyook to fight in his corridor here. He notices it and decides to pull back as Gomojji elects to go in for the attack. Beautiful storm comes down on those Hydralisks there. Sunken's all going down. Reaver in the back, providing support, but most of the Zealots in the front have gone down. Gomojji decides to regroup, pull back. Drop flying in, but the units dropping on the floor immediately get killed, and he even did snipe the shuttle that had Templars in it, so there's only Zealots there on the ground, but this does give Gomojji the information that Chamkyoyook has lurkers spread out all around his main. So that does give him information as to in regards to what his other options are and what answers he can formulate to the information that he has just discovered. Now, Guardians are chasing that Reaver there, but Reaver gets pulled back, so instead he just decides to attack the Dragoons that were not moved to the back. Storms have come out, no energy on that Templar left, but there's more Templars there, closer to the cannons. Storm comes down on the Guardians, Storm comes down on the Hydralisks as well. Hydralisks get pulled back, regrouping with more Hydralisks as they micro away from the Zealots. Zealots going down really quickly. Guardians now taking down the cannons that are past hill, thanks to the vision of this overlord. And there's even a Dragoon on the hill there that got landed there by a shuttle. There's no other way it could be up there. Pretty much all of the Hydralisks in this corridor are getting stormed. It makes them a really easy target for Templars, because you just have, they all ball up in this little area, you storm on them and you take down most of them very quickly. But it does look like Chamkyoyook is getting the overhand in this situation here. Reavers are spawning, but those cannons in the back are really helping those Dragoons staying alive and killing most of those Hydralisks. But more units will be coming streaming in for Chamkyoyook. Cannons now being made on the opposite side of the hill, the opposite side of the corridor, opposite of the cannons that were already there but are cleaned out. These cannons cannot hit over the hill. He's now constructing new cannons there to re-establish dominance over that corridor. But Chamkyoyook almost manages to take over this little block that is in front of him that keeps him boxed in. This Reaver cat got a beautiful shot up on those Hydralisks. Now he has regained control, but more units are streaming out. Gomojji is really feeling the pressure now because he has to keep sending out units, but his gas is very low because he's only mining gas from 7 gazers and spending pretty much all of it really quickly. He's got way too many Reavers queued up in these robotic facilities that are eating up all of his gas. But at this point, it is very important that you get Reavers spawning as fast as you can, as quickly as you can, and as many as you can, because you gotta keep killing those huge droves of Hydralisks streaming out of the base. The choke for Chamkyoyook has not been rebuilt. He's electing to defend himself with just ground units, although I do think that these drones that just spawned are gonna be morphed into creep colonies to construct those sunken colonies, so he can fight off and stay alive within the face of all this aggression from Gomojji. Gomojji is playing this pretty well, but he has not landed a drop. There was a drop just now that was flying in, and this drop actually does land. But all of the drones were very quickly pulled off within the blink of an eye to the gas right there and dodged the storm. Only 6 drones or so went down to the storm. That's a really good save from Chamkyoyook, because his front is wide open and he only had about 2,000 minerals, which gives him about the room to rebuild roughly 30 drones, because that's 1,800 minerals, 30 drones, 600 per 12. So he would have had 30 drones, and that's quite a low income to be on. And you wouldn't have been able to keep replenishing units to fight into these Reavers, because Reavers really do a lot of damage against a Zerg. They're pretty much the biggest enemy of a Zerg within a fastest map setting. I assume that on regular maps, it's mostly the Templars that are the big danger, because Reavers are so expensive to invest in. Fastest map, you can just crap out a huge ton of Reavers, but now Mutalisks coming out to kill those Reavers, but a storm takes down almost all of the Mutalisks. Mutalisks are very low HP, inches away from dying, so he starts morphing them into Guardians to keep them alive and restore their health back to full, because that's what Mutalisks do. If it morphs into a Guardian, it gets all of its HP back, and it's worth doing it once the Mutalisks are low. Observers providing vision of those lurkers. Now the attack is coming in once again. The Reaver is hammering and mowing down all the units that Chamkyoyook is sending out. Could this be the breaking point for Chamkyoyook? Is this where he's going to lose his choke and get entered We'll wait and see because there are a lot of highlights in the base. Guardians are also coming out, but Guardians are all clumped up in a very tight, nice little spot that this Templar can storm, but he decides to pull back the Templar, decides not to storm just yet. Let's just save the storm. He's pulling back his Reavers, but Reavers are very slow. Reavers might go down to those Guardians. But these Dragoons sacrifice themselves to keep those Reavers alive unintentionally, I assume. Maybe intentionally, I'm not sure. Chamkyoyook manages to break out or stay alive. He's on 100 drones now, but most of those extra drones are meant for rebuilding or building things on the side of his base or in the front of his base. Mostly spores or sunkens. Gomojji hasn't really added anything onto his base except for these cannons that are purely intended to deny Chamkyoyook the option of flying loaded up overlords into Gomojji's base and dropping them within his region. Now Chamkyoyook first has to clean up all these cannons with Guardians. Guardians there are trying to attack and kill some Reavers. They take down some Reavers and Dragoons, but forced to pull back in the face of storms and more Dragoons coming in from Gomojji. Gomojji keeps formulating the same formula of units. The combination is very strong, but I feel this mostly will have to come down to drops. And there is actually quite a nice area where he can land his Templars without having them dying to these Lurkers. But he's not tried yet. He's trying to drop them within the range of those Lurkers every single time instead of going for a little bit further away. And Chamkyoyook is still rebuilding really nicely. A drop comes in, but the drop goes down to the Spores and the Hydralisk. There was no Corsair there to take focus away from the Spores. But I'm not sure if that would have helped, because he could still have target fired those shuttles respectively. More drops coming in. And as I mentioned, he thought it was just 2 shuttles that was sacrificing, because I think he's giving up on those shuttle drops. Sometimes there's a moment where you feel like, alright, I'm never going to hit a drop. Might as well save up some supply room and go for more Reavers, more ground forces for the frontal attack. Maybe that's what Gomojji is thinking, because he's not constructing or warping in any more shuttles. He's next now focusing completely on the frontal attack. But Chamkyoyook decides to break out, taking down all those cannons there on the side. The bottom side of Gomojji's base, these Guardians mowing down, tearing through those cannons very quickly, because they have those upgrades. 2-2 upgrades. Once cannons don't really get upgrades, they get shield upgrades though, but no weapon or armor upgrades, so they go down really quickly in the later stages of the game once all the enemy units have their upgrades up and rolling. 2-2-3 for Gomojji on the ground units. 3-3 for the Hydralisk for Chamkyoyook. Gomojji now has pulled some Dragoons up, down to the hill to focus on taking down these Guardians, but there's more Guardians than there are Dragoons. A lot of these Guardians will go down to the Dragoons, but I assume that most of these Dragoons will go down. Oh, there's a Templar coming in as well, but the Templar has no energy. There's another Templar coming in as well, but that one does have energy. But while that is happening, Chamkyoyook has loaded up Overlords and is gonna drop a bunch of Hydralisks down here next to the main CC. Let's see if there's a Lurker in there. There's a Lurker in there. Lurker gets barreled. Lurker is gonna take down and focus on the probes. Probes being shut down. There's already 30 probes that have gone down to the Lurker. The Lurker is really cleaning house here. And he's focusing on the Nexus as well. He might be able to take down the Nexus, because there's still a couple of Hydralisks down up there. And the Hydralisks focus down the Nexus. The Nexus goes down, and Chamkyoyook has pretty much effectively already won this game right here, right now. Because now Gomojji is in a very tight spot economically. He has to focus on rebuilding his base, whereas Chamkyoyook can just focus on attacking and attacking and attacking. Although there's a lot of Reavers here in the front, and there's no Guardians left within the base of Chamkyoyook. Chamkyoyook now has rebuilt a bunch of Mutalisks. Mutalisks will be able to take down off those Reavers once they morph into Guardians. Chamkyoyook is spamming just BM. His APM has dropped by 100, spamming all that BM. Gomojji is waiting to regroup his units. He hasn't started a new Nexus, hasn't started producing new probes. He's gonna go for a one last final all-in attack, and then I assume he's gonna leave, because he's not producing probes. And I think he feels the same thing I'm feeling, that, oh Jesus Christ, I just lost a Protoss versus Zerg, which is a very unlikely matchup to lose. Most of the time Protoss wins. He did land a drop, but he killed only 10 or so drones. I missed a drop, but the drop was not that important anyway. It would have been beautiful to see it go down though. But those Guardians that just finished up took down those Templars really quickly. The Zealots as well. Zealots also died to the Lurkers on the low ground there. But all in all, Chamkyoyook wins the game. Not effortlessly, definitely not. This game was pretty much entirely won by Chamkyoyook, mostly beating Gomojji to the punch on a lot of attempts from Gomojji, where Gomojji tried to formulate and assemble a question for Chamkyoyook to answer. And Chamkyoyook pretty much just answered before the question was even finished being asked. So Chamkyoyook played it really well. Great micro, great macro, great multitasking, great target prioritization, and most of all, great setup. Great decision making. Gomojji technically made all the right choices as well, but it was just beaten to the punch on every single one of them. And I think it mostly comes down to being inferior at multitasking and perhaps even inferior at micro. Although we did display some great micro. But this is really, I thought it was a really nice game from Chamkyoyook. A little bit risky at times, given a lot of time, but he kept delaying Gomojji. And once you keep delaying the Protoss in attacking you and pressuring you and hurting you, you're going to just keep skyrocketing all and up. It's an exponential curve, and then you end up taking home the W, just like Chamkyoyook did. I hope you learned something from this game specifically, and if not, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.